just discussed, perhaps one sort of unexpected aspect of Secretary Pompeo's visit was this U.S. emphasis on pressing Jerusalem to rule out Chinese company Hutchison Water's tender to build here the largest desalination plant in the world. That's a $1.5 billion project. Now, the Trump administration views Beijing's growing involvement in Israel's economy as a security concern and wants it contained. But Netanyahu has banked on Chinese investment, which has included buying companies like food giant Tenuva and major infrastructure projects like the Haifa and Ashdod ports. Well, for more on this, we're joined by Carice Witte, founder and executive director of Signal, China-Israel Global Network and Academic Leadership. Let me just ask you, start with a clarification question, Carice. What about this water plant? The U.S. is saying it has security concerns about it. Why would a desalination plant be a security concern?
It's very likely that the desalination plant itself isn't the issue as much as its location near Palmachim, which greatly resembles the situation of the Haifa port, which raised so many eyebrows in D.C., where you had both a nuclear facility and American troops. So Palmachim also hosts American troops, and there is a nuclear site nearby. So I think it's the optics that are very much of a concern, as well as the potential security of having the Chinese deeply involved in a major project which is not far from both those facilities.
Now, I know one other big concern, especially among these developing countries that are part of this Belt and Road Initiative, is that they get into significant debt to China, and China has very big leverage over them. That's especially during the coronavirus pandemic. That is coming up for discussion. Is that something Israel has to be concerned with?
Israel's economy is very strong, and our possibility of getting into the kind of debt trap that you're talking about is zero. You're talking about countries like Sri Lanka, which borrowed against no hard assets, and in the end, they had to give up their deep water port in Hambantota. Or you have countries across Africa like Zambia, which again ran into very deep debt, wanted major infrastructure projects, and ended up having to lose their national electric grid to the control of China, their national airport, and their national broadcasting. So this is not at all possible in Israel. Well, the kind of challenges
Could I just ask you briefly then, what does Israel want, what does China want out of Israel if it can't sort of leverage that kind of political power here?
So I don't think China is trying to own or receive through debt or any other approach major ownership of our national infrastructure. China is very much interested in Israel's innovation and technology. And we are able to provide them with the kind of cutting-edge, advanced innovation that they can find in very few other places. A little bit in Switzerland, certainly in the U.S., but as the U.S. is less and less interested in sharing that, they're turning more and more to Israel. I think the consideration for Israel is very much, what do we get out of that deal? And to take into consideration the fact that politically, China is not on Israel's side. They have a 100% voting against Israel in all international forums. And so we need to ask ourselves, what do we want from China?
All right. Well, that is a big question. Of course, billions of dollars of investment in itself is not a bad thing. But as you said, there's definitely other considerations at play. Carice Witte, thank you for joining us on i24 News.